Those are going to be given out for the fall musical. To excellent performances, excellent tech work. And Frank, unfortunately, is not with us. He's in Pennsylvania. But thanks to the miracle of the Google WebTube release, right? I'm telling you, Frank is going to speak to us like he's presenting at the Grammys. I kid you not. So, not live, but you can pretend it's live. So, of course, this fall, I'm going to give just a brief introduction, and we're going to let Frank introduce or give the awards themselves. And I think that our audio is all set and good. So, Into the Woods. So, this is the second time, I do believe, maybe the third, but I believe it's just the second if I go back and look, that Into the Woods was performed at the high school and directed Into the Woods a long time ago. And what was really grand, and you could go and you probably saw this on Facebook back in the fall, that we had a number of Into the Woods reunions between students who played characters in this fall's production and some of those some of those grown-ups who were once kids who played those roles 25 or so years back, 24, I think, 24 years back. So, which was just a really nice addition to that. And I know I saw a couple folks, also Claire there, and you met your person, right, back in the day, and I think several of you did, right? How many of you guys actually had a chance to meet your 1, 2, 3, 4, at least that many, 5, 6, which is really great. So, fantastic, nice continuity. So, there we are. There's the photo. You can always pretend like they're actually there because it was this stage right there. And you can see a much better version of this picture online or on our website. But we're going to start with our first award, which is the Outstanding Performer in an Ensemble Role. And in order to give this award, so Frank, if you're on the internet watching, here you go.
Sorry, I can't be with you in person. I can be with you this way. So, I would like to announce the first Bravo Award for the Fall Musical, and that is to an outstanding performer in an ensemble role. And I don't know whether it was because he tossed innocent victims to a giant and a crushing death, or just an all-around good nature. Otherwise, the award goes to Winslow Jeffrey.
And now for the Outstanding Performer in a Supporting Role.
The next award is for Outstanding Performer in a Supporting Role in the fall musical Into the Woods. I'm sure we will all recall his lamenting about a certain fear, and also his blind wandering, searching for his bride. The award goes to Alex Eason. I'd like to award the 2018 Bravo Award for Outstanding Hit Member in Fall Musical. This year, the individual not only has contributed his talent musically, but also his very capable leadership skills, and that goes to Matt Cox.
Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. And now we move to Outstanding Actor in a Leading or Featured Role.
Outstanding Actor in a Lead Role, Fall Musical. The 2018 Bravo It's awarded to someone who touched us all as a father searching for the perfect family. Emerson Jeffrey.
And now for our leading actress.
For outstanding actress in the lead role in the fall musical, Into the Woods, the 2018 Bravo goes to someone who we saw transform from an undesirable hag to a beautiful mother who was mother, Bonnie Snyder.
I should have brought the tea.
Just a few years ago, we instituted the Directors' Book Awards, and that is to celebrate people who might not otherwise have been celebrated, to give that opportunity. And so, with no further ado,
The Book Award is a personal choice award by each director, given someone in the production that we see as maybe a leader or someone who is growing and learning with every effort. And this year, I would like to present the Director's Book Award for the Fall Musical to Zach Juliano.
no, it's really a book. Yeah, it's a book. See? It's the Book Award, see?
Sometimes we can be late. Actions. Oh, that's it.
Okay, now I get to talk. And there are no videos in this segment. I apologize for that. So, moving on to the one act for this year. And I got to be honest with you. And I've told, I think, Rosie this. I've told Rosie this. And I just told my daughter this. And that'd be about it. That I got to be honest. After last year, I mean, things went wonderfully. It was such a successful run with Mary Gerard, and it was a wonderful group of seniors, all these magnificent senior girls. The booth was just chock-a-block full of seniors who'd been involved for 3 and 4 years. And of course, these kids all do this marvelous job. They create this beautiful piece of theater, and they disappear. They graduate, and they go on with their lives. And needless to say, I was a little nervous. I was a little hesitant. Even though we had some phenomenal seniors coming back, which we did, absolutely. Mostly we had seniors and a lot of untested, and you've heard me talk about these guys already, sophomores. Scads and scads of sophomores. And you know, otherwise they're marvelously wonderful kids, but last year they were all freshmen, right? So it was a little scary, you know, to think that we're going to put a play out there that's seniors and sophomores with a freshman scattered in and maybe a junior scattered in, and that was about it, right? It was real. Oh, our lone freshman. I'm sorry. Yes, but she was there. She represented. It was really great. But so I was honestly nervous. And what I told Rosie just last week or so, I said my goal for this year was to not look foolish. I mean, and I'm serious. I don't mean that in the meanest way at all. After having had such a marvelous run last year, I said, you want to follow that up with a really strong play. And so we're going to work as hard as we can to follow it up with as strong a play as we're able. And I tell you what, that bunch of seniors and the junior and the freshmen and that big whole huge mess of sophomores put on one heck of a play. Holy cow. And it just got better and better as weeks went on. I think for me, it was performing at the regional, and when it was out there Friday night regional, and you could just see it, and the energy in the house, and then it was like, well, that's a good play. And then, and you guys might have a different story, they performed for the school. And when 400 high school students, who most of whom know very little about theater, sat in here and laughed the entire way through an Ionesco play, where the kids are wearing masks and behaving strangely and, and all of this bizarre physical activity. And when those kids laughed, we said, this must be a pretty good play. And it was phenomenal. It was a really great run. And it was gratifying to go to States and see some of the competition that we saw, and to go from Class B, no less, right, as the largest school in Class B last year to the smallest school in Class A this year, and still be able to go in there and compete with the big programs. I mean, that's a pretty darn exciting thing. So if you look in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see this is the journey these 1-act kids have gone through. You can see the dancers up there, way up in the corner. And Desmond was our soda jerk in the dancers, who had how many lines?
0.
0 lines. In fact, I made up the role, actually, because I wanted someone who could kind of just counterbalance some of the bits and pieces that were happening on other bits. So he just kind of walked around and scowled. And he did it really well.
Yeah.
You did.
No, when was the turning point when the busboy became this kind of jerky kid?
Des, I thought it was when you showed up for the first rehearsal. You can't lobby big ones like that. It's just too easy. All right. So then, move down one, and that is the play that Mr. Rush refers to lovingly as the river play, right? The river play, or the river crossing play, The Other Shore, which was a really challenging script, and every judge who judged this said, I don't know what it's about. One judge actually said, I don't know what it's about, but you kids know what it's about, so that's good enough for me. Which was nice. That was actually kind of high praise at that point. So, upper right-hand corner, we have Mary Girard there in a classroom at Yarmouth High School, just totally thrilled and excited and everything else. And then down here, of course, you can see our guys on the stage. Beautiful set, magnificent costumes. They're not wearing the masks, unfortunately, but crazy masks. I mean, just great stuff. So. And I want to just leave you with one image, by the way, before we do what we're going to do. And it's this. That's it. That's the image. Let me tell you what. When I saw that photo, that absolutely, tell me it didn't. That summed up the moment. Because when they announced second place or runner-up Yarmouth High School, I think all of us basically turned to everyone else and said, what does this mean? I said it, you said it. I mean, I think a couple kids said, what does this mean? Did we come in 12th? I mean, what does this mean, right? Right, and so when they said MDI, we were fairly thrilled. This photo really shows that. It was really great. So, Addie, by the way, I think held the plaque for 72 straight hours. That's it, yes. Way to represent, yet again. All right. So we did have one little wrinkle this year, and it was something that I got to be honest, I wasn't really thrilled with this decision by the Drama Council, but I think it's worked out okay. The Drama Council, along with the Principals Association, decided not to award certificates at the regional or state competitions. They did announce commendations, and they brought the kids up, which was great. But they said, we'll send you the certificates, which what they meant by that was we'll send you a PDF of all the certificates, and you can print them up. And in fact, one director said, well, we'll hold an assembly, which I was like, well, we have an assembly, so we'll do it right here. So what we want to do is award, and we're going to bring everyone up as we call your names, and you guys can just populate the stage over here. It's going to be just like at the regional and at the stage. You're going to stay on the stage. We're going to have basically everyone up here, so the stage is going to look like it's going to buckle and falter a little bit. this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this en masse. So we'll do our best with it. So we'll come up. We have certificates for you, and I'm gonna read this off. So I don't like this, but we're gonna do the one clap thing. You guys ready? Here we go. All festival cast. Desmond Reifsteiner is Jack. Raul Blackett is Mother Jack. Desi Zaman is Jacqueline. Ethan Leonard is Father Robert. And Rosie Avila as Roberta 1 and 2. Nobody clap for that. You guys move down some. Move down a little bit. Move down a little bit. I can't see the words. There we go. Okay, keep going. There we go. Excellence in dance, sequence, and choreography, Rosie Avila. Excellence in mask design and construction, Piper Sharon, and the ensemble. So the rest of the ensemble needs to come up. The rest of the actors need to come up who built the masks. Excellence in video design, Piper Sharon. What's that? Sharon. Oh, is that what they said? Oh. Sharon. Okay, there we go. All right. They should be in the right order. Oh, yeah, well, then these must be the regionals.
I don't know.
They were, yeah. Oh, no, these are the ensemble ones. There were 2 stacks. Oh, this is what's going to hit. Oh, there they are.
Yep.
There they are. Okay, thank you. Okay. And these are the ensemble ones. All right, thank you. Now, what we'll do, if you want to hand those out, please, and then we'll actually do the same for states. So Desmond Reifsteiner is Jack. Emerson Jeffrey is Father Jack. Ethan Leonard is Father Robert. And Rosie Avila as Roberta 1 and 2, our festival cast. Then state special commendations, which were basically the same as the regional commendations. Excellence in dance, sequence, and choreography, Rosie. Excellence in mask design, Piper. Excellence in design and construction, the ensemble and Piper. And I can't see what else is down there. Oh, it is there. Oh, what do we know? Oh, what do you know? Video design and operation, excellence, Piper. And outstanding lighting design operation, Evelyn. Come on. I gotta tell you. And it was a lovely moment at States because I think, Evelyn, weren't you the very first person they called? I think you were. And they called Evelyn, and Evelyn was like, what do we do? And Grace's like, go to the stage, go to the stage. She's like, okay. And then, so you looked really nervous for like 30 seconds, and then when like 2 or 3 more kids got there, you were right into it. It was so great. It was so fun. So, it was great. But I gotta tell you, when you go to competition, either regional or state, and you see a large group of kids selected. We had 5 kids in the regional selected for all festival cast. The next school behind us had 3. I think we had more kids with 4 at states than anyone else. And when you start to see those, I've done this long enough to where I think one of 2 things. Wow, they really liked our play, or they really felt sorry for us. And you just don't know which one of it is until they actually, you get the packet with your scores. But they really, really seem to like our play, which is exciting. So, here they are. So, can I please have to the stage, may I please have to the stage all of the people involved in Jack. So that would be all the techs, everyone who accompanied us to States. And regionals. Okay, so I'm going to turn the floor over to Chris Doherty. Got to move down, guys.
Okay.
Scooch, get comfy. Okay, guys.
So, as befits a play set probably in the 50s in a bunker, we've had a secret project going on ever since we won States. You sit with Mr. Rush long enough, he starts telling you all of his great ideas, and then you go, okay. So.
And Chris is actually crazy enough to carry them out. That's the trick.
So, in honor of our state win, everybody's getting a copy of Jack's famous cat hat.
Do you guys want to help? That's my Excel. Let me show you. Oh yeah, you guys help me. So let me show you what these are.
Do you have names on them?
Chris is a uniquely, amazingly talented individual. So you can see in this beautiful golden pouch, we have a lovely hat that actually says on it, oh, I need my glasses. 2018 state champions, Maine.
No, they're just sizes.
So basically the thing was when we saw, we came up with the idea that Jack would have a hat. In the script, he does have a hat. It simply says he has a hat. And we talked about what kind of hat he should have. And I thought, well, I want it to be like a watch cap. You know, have an all black watch cap. And then with the motif of the kitty cats all through the piece that Eugene Ionesco in his wisdom decided to insert, we thought, why not make a kitty cat hat that when Jack puts the hat on, it's got little ears that stick up, and that's what he had. And so it was great fun. So Chris has been single-handedly knitting all of these hats for the last 2 months, by the way. Angel and Matt?
Nancy and Matt.
Oh, that's true. Oh, Max, you want to come up, please? I'd like to invite one other person to the stage at this point. We had one other person who accompanied us and worked with us, and I tell you what, I have never in my life seen a parent volunteer and come out and be part of the team the way that this parent did. And I've seen some amazing, amazing parents just tonight and in the last 19 years. But I wanted to specifically award a championship jacket to Nancy Graves. The job from start to finish, on every step of the way. And you get a hat.
Your outfit is really hard. The next one.
Guys, if you haven't done it,
Let me know if I have to read.
and by the way, kids, your jackets are in the back of the theater, so be sure to grab them. Now, one last presentation I want to make before we move any further on is for Chris. Now, some of you guys know that I use, I do a lot of mask work with my students, with my cast members. It's based on the work of probably the human with the most French name in the world, Jacques Lecoq. On the work of Jacques Lecoq, the moving body and all that fun stuff. So I do a lot of neutral mask work with my students. And so we use these crazy, scary looking things. And I've been doing that for the last 6 years or so. And I got to tell you, I think if we look at the last few years of one acts, we've had 8 of the last 9 one acts go to states, and we've won the last 2 states. I think this kind of work has really paid dividends, honestly. It has. And we wanted to present Chris with her own signed neutral mask.
Why, thank you.
Okay, thank you guys very much. What's up?
Yeah, that's not going to
See how creepy that is? I'm telling you. That's why the first day of auditions, or the first day of auditions, I make them wear them when we get on the stage and we do it. So the kids who are really squeamish are going to be like, oh, I don't know about this. All right. Yeah, that's true. All right. So we're going to go to the outstanding actor in the one-act play. And this is a student who I have worked with for years and years and years. And I was ever so pleased to see, of course, as you guys know, the Bravos are voted on by the students involved, with the exception of just a couple of Bravos, and we'll talk about those where students nominate and directors pick. But this is a student who's absolutely deserving of the award, and I'm so glad to see this. And that would be Desmond Reich-Snyder. You dropped your pouch, too. Your thingy. Don't lose that.
It's his pouch.
Now, the outstanding actress for this play, and I have to be honest with you, I was curious how this would go. Someone actually said to me, and I'm going to say, because this person's in the room, I can say this. I've never told her this. Last year, Mary Gerard, Mary Paola, at States, I had a director come to me and say, I never told you this because I didn't want you to get too cocky about it, and say, well, of course you won States. You had the best actress in the state in your play. And I said, you're right, I do. I said, but I had 8 of the best actors in the state in my play. That's why we won, right? And we had about 15 of the best techs in the state in our play, and that's why we won. And it's very true. I said, we really just have been blessed with talent over the last several years, and no less so this year. And this particular student, I've actually told this student this. I was a little up in the air about how I was going to go with one character until I knew that this actress was going to audition. And as soon as I knew she was going to audition, I knew exactly how Roberta was going to be in the play. So this award goes to Rosie Avila. And the reason I say that is because in the script it does not suggest any specifics about Roberta, except she has basically been brought up to be a bride for her entire identity. And so when I knew that I had a dancer coming out, I was like, you know what? She could be a ballerina. Won't that be cool? And bang, it all just kind of fell into place. It was lovely. All right, so the book award. Because I run the program, I'm going to give 2 of these because I can do what I want. So, and I have one for tech and one for an actor. So the first one I'd like to award is to an actor, someone who I was so pleased to see everyone come out for this production, but in particular this person. I was happy to see her come out, and it was because I've always just I saw this student acting last year and in the fall, and I thought, if I have that person in my play, I know we can really work together. I know that we can come up with something really cool. And we did, I felt like. And I watched this person grow rehearsal after rehearsal, week after week, even when this particular actress had to Skype into a rehearsal because she had the flu. She was a sick little thing, let me tell you. I actually had 2 actors Skype it in. This was the week of, was it Hell Week? The Monday of Hell Week? Where you guys had to Skype in? It was wild. Absolutely wild. So I want to honor with my first Director's Book Award, Anna Redgate. The second person I'd like to honor is a tech, and I'll be honest with you, I really went back and forth on doing 2 awards, and I thought I really want to, because this is an award, or this is a position that just doesn't get recognized. It just doesn't. And so I'd like to honor my daughter, Julia Rush, for calling another amazing state-winning one act, 2 in a row. Julia. So thank you very much. I keep trying to talk her into doing tech every year, and she keeps threatening to act, and so So I think, you remember how well things went last year when you called the show? But thank you very much. So now we're going to move on to more Frank. Animal Farm. So what we'll do is I'll introduce I know it says Chris, but I'll just go ahead and do it because we'll just jump to his videos. So Animal Farm, well, here are the animals right there. And Frank did not give sort of a generic talk about this. He's going to give the awards, but I know things he would say would be things like, well, it was a really good challenge and students were up to it and worked very hard. And he was very proud and pleased with their efforts. I'm sure he would say all of those things. But we will say what he will say, and this is what he is going to say. So there are 2 awards for outstanding performers in the spring play, and here's Frank to tell us about the first one.
2018 Bravo Awards for Screenplay, Animal Farm. I think this year, almost everybody deserves an award for the amount of work that was accomplished in literally a week. But this year, the outstanding supporting performer in Animal Farm goes to someone who was a rather pretty squealer and maybe a little bird brain chicken, Addie Brown.
Addie. She grabbed the certificate and she was gone. That's right. Like the plaque. Yes, here we go.
2018 Bravo Award for Screenplay Animal Farm goes to someone who portrayed a very forceful leader, Bonnie Snyder.
That's nice. He just not be a forceful leader. There you go.
And now for the Director's Book Award.
Finally, the Director's Book Award for Screenplay Animal Farm. This year, I would like to present that award to someone who auditions expressed some insecurities and maybe feeling a little out of her element, but ultimately her performance proved otherwise. I would like to give the Director's Book Award to Lupin Taylor.
Okay. I jumped the gun on that one. Let's all stare at Frank for just a moment.
Finally, the
Oh.
Director's Book.
Oh,
There we go. That's what we want. There we go.
okay.
So we hold it for you. Or?
Okay.
You good? You got it? Okay.
I am my own Vanna White. That comedy was truly an ensemble piece. So when we went to choose our outstanding performance winners, you had a wealth of people to choose from. But the people have spoken. And the first person.
Oh wait, I inserted 1 or 2 shots for each.
Oh, goody. Okay.
'Cause I know you might wanna talk
we get
about
to
that
talk
second
about
photo.
this. So every year I say to Gray, "Don't worry, I'll pick a show that's really easy." And then we end up with like 700 light cues and 39 characters played by 3 people. This year I didn't say a thing, and we ended up with a show that takes place in a blackout. And we didn't even have walls. We just had furniture. So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut from now on.
And then the furniture.
And then. And then it turned out to be more of a physical comedy than we ever imagined. Frankly, I think Ethan was working on this moment from the minute he started reading the script. It was hilarious. After I realized he wasn't broken, I laughed through the next 3 scenes with tears pouring down my face because it was hilarious. So, outstanding performers in the spring play. The first performer I have known so long that he was probably this tall when I first met him. And one of the highlights of my life with him was actually, 1, being able to make his hair stick straight flat on his head, and 2, helping him discover the ultimate best haircut for him. He started playing an aesthete with an English accent. He finished by playing an artist with an English accent. He has been a joy. He has been hilarious. And he lets me tease him about twerking like Beyonce. Our first outstanding performer in spring play, Desmond Rice-Snyder. There we go. I should add that for this year's spring play, we basically put Desmond through the equivalent of a CrossFit circuit, and he did quite well. The second award goes to a fellow who has played very, very mysterious men. This time he played a man with a secret. He was a little less mysterious. However, he was hilarious. And it was a great joy to work with Zach Uliano. Yes. So, Director's Book Awards, this was tough. Very, very tough. We had an ensemble cast. We had people who have done things they've never done before, who really sort of push the envelope of their own behavior, like Carolyn, who out-Quakers most Quakers and turned into a completely maniacal, puckish type of person, and it was a delightful thing. Alexandra, who was a complete joy to have our first time round in a spring play. Desi, who mastered an English accent and a very sort of prim kind of persona. Ethan, of course, I've worked with many times, as well as Desmond, and of course, the first time with Zach. And Evelyn, who gave us this beautiful dragon sculpture that we promptly messed up. But more than anything, and also South, who was queen of our props, and Nancy and South made us the irreplaceable chaise longue. The trick about doing a play that takes place in a blackout is that when the lights go on and off, they have to go on and off. And
What about Peter?
hang on. And I've not taken any questions or comments. And in this case, the lights went on and off primarily by sight. The two people in the booth who made this show what it was, because otherwise it was just a show with the lights on all the time, are my choices for the Director's Book Award, Kaylin Hanley and Katara Shelton.
Okay, so now I'm going to invite these three lovely people to the mic to award the Tech Caption Awards. We got Gray and Carlene and Marilyn. And I'm gonna sit over here. I'll shuffle over here. Okay.
The ironic thing is, it looks like a Mr. Casey Rush is the first one slated to do this one.
For,
Your best
Oh.
That?
where,
Oh, we're down here.
You're here.
okay,
Downstage, downstage.
all right. All right,
And I will give you that.
See, I expect Gray not to make any mistakes. Because I make all of them.
Merry Christmas. All right, moving on. So, first one we have tonight is Best New Tech. And frankly, we've had an amazing number of people come in. We've had an amazing number of people stick around. That's always nice. But more to the point, when someone comes in, they're just ready to go on whatever you give them, and you say, okay, you got this. And it's kind of a big job. All right, so we have a musical, and you stick them in the booth for the first time. That's the first time they've ever done anything in the booth, much less this sort of staging. Then you go to the one acts because the musical was brilliant. Okay, so you go to the one acts. You stick them back in the booth. What do? Well, they clean up with awards. What do you do when you get to the spring plays? You give them free creative reign, and they just surprise your socks off because they come up with ideas that you've never thought of, and that ability to just take these concepts that they've just been introduced to and go, oh, I can use it like that. No prompting, just getting to the point and coming up with some amazing, amazing colors, looks, everything. So Best New Tech for this year is Evelyn Zumwalt.
I'm gonna project. Can you see me over the podium? This category, the most improved tech. The nominees in this category have participated in multiple productions this year, and this person is a strong, strong future technician and current technician, but I can't wait to see the potential that she lives out. Gianna Turk.
Round three. Okay, so Tech of the Year. In case we didn't have enough amazing people already, it's time to recognize. Nominees in this category, multiple leadership positions, just kept the tech crew ticking, kept the tech crew going. Again, come up with a nugget of an amazing idea and then lead people to it. Make your ideas reality. In addition to that, it's someone who's respected, not just by people that they've been put in charge of. You know, that's good too, but this person just engenders respect of anyone they work with and will get people to do their best work because they're working together. And rather than ramble on longer, I'd like to give this one to Piper.
Pouch. Under your right foot.
Your pouch.
Little tiny camera.
Oh, I forgot that was in there. All right. So I know. All right. So now we're going to move on to our Special Achievement Awards, and I'm probably going to need reminding who's presenting which one because
You're the first one.
I'm the first one. Oh, good. Excellent. There we go. Beautiful. All right. So the first award is the Ashley Littlefield No Small Actor Award. When I first arrived on campus, basically when I showed up, we did that first Bravo Award ceremony, and my president that year was none other than Mark Smith's daughter, Darcy. And Darcy was a darling. She was wonderful. She walked me through every step of the way. If I had a question, boom, she was right there. In fact, the very first day I was here on campus, she made the point to come seek me out and talk to me, and it was just really worked to help with that transition. And she was not the only kid who did. There were plenty of others who did, but she stepped in, and when it came time to do Bravos, there was, what do we do? How do we put this together? She goes, I got this. I know, I can get it all set up. I know all the categories, and I know the process, and we'll meet in your room. And it was great. And these are categories that have been around all those years with slight changes because a couple of them have sadly and happily, in some instances, taken on names. And this is an award that is an in memoriam award for Ashley Littlefield, who was a marvelous actress, and she was involved in show choir here. In fact, she was on this stage going back to her years as a little teeny tiny dancer, I believe with Levitsky School of Dance years and years ago. And sadly, she died, I believe 7 years ago, I believe is what it is, 7 years ago, 8 years ago. Today. And lovely girl, and I was fortunate to have a chance to direct her in her last play, Talk Radio, which was the very last play she performed in high school here. And but lovely young lady. So we thought that it was an appropriate way to memorialize her effort. She was always that kid. When you looked up on the stage, there could be 50 kids on the stage, and she drew your eyes. She was always on. She was always performing. Just absolutely lovely, radiant performer. And so this award goes to yet again, a person who has stepped into a small role and done something amazing with it, because that's what Ashley did when she was here for the years she acted on our stage. So I've given this award because I was fortunate enough to work with this student and to see this student come in with some really great ideas, and then over the course of rehearsals just develop them well beyond where any of us thought they were going to go, and really turned a very small role into a showpiece. And that person is Moxie McBriarty. Even though I called her Roxy during the first 2 weeks of rehearsals, because I had Rosie and Moxie on the stage at the same time, and I kept, yeah.
We didn't hand her her award.
Oh, is that it there?
Yes.
Oh, hey, here you go, Roxy. All right, our next award is the Super Stand-In. Is it you?
Yep. Okay. The Super Stand-In Award has gone to a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons over the years, including people who step into a role in an actual production, to the year we nearly killed all of our actors with a snow machine, and one of our techies came in and acted one of the parts during our rehearsals so we could keep going, because he was the only one with a voice left. This year, the Super Stand-In Award is going to go to someone with a great impact on the whole production. This person had very few lines, a lot of doddering, a headfirst dive into a window seat, an impeccable German accent, and he was also the person we called upon to come to extra rehearsals to play people when they couldn't come to rehearsal. And so he basically played almost everybody in the play at one point or another. So he is our super stand-in, Peter Benson from Black Conti.
Next, the Niki Conti Award.
The Niki Conti Award is awarded to an actor, actress, or techie who demonstrates the most spirit and enthusiasm during rehearsals and performances. And I have to say, this person has outdone themselves. I'd often hear them screaming, "Because I said so, and I'll explain later." And that's okay. That's great. That's good. This person is very trustworthy, steadfast, and put in many, many extra hours. South Graves.
Oh, the pouches. We're going to do away with the pouches. Oh, extra. Whose pouches?
There you go.
Next we have, now I did want to say one thing, and I didn't say this, the Niki Conti Award is not an in memoriam award. Niki Conti is very much with us, and I imagine still the bright shining star that she was when she was a student here. The understanding I received about when I got here, she was a senior, and it was all, the award was already at that point named the Niki Conti Super Spirit Award because she'd won it basically every year, is my understanding. Or so the kids told me. I had to trust them. So our next award is the Lauren Cooper Super Trouper Award. Is that you? Yeah. Okay.
All right, so throughout the year, there's a lot that we run into, but it really needs to be recognized when someone has personal obstacles, things they need to overcome, and they do so, and they just shine. So while I did not have the pleasure of knowing Lauren Cooper, this year, this award goes to someone who basically was here all the time. Not only were they an actress, they were also one of our valued techs, and then they had to stay till 11 until they could go home. So I really, really, really appreciate all the hard work and the amazing attitude that Katara put in, Katara Shelton.
All right, so we're getting right down to the end of it. It's a long night. And several years ago, I guess at least a decade or more, we talked about instituting an award that we directors would decide upon. And these would be the people, students, as it says there, who provided the best and most consistent leadership throughout the year. And most years this isn't a challenge at all. Most years we have a pretty good idea who those people are because we can look around and see who the people are who had done the most and been there and worked hard. In fact, I know we have some prior winners. Do I see at least one prior winner? Yeah, you. I think so. Yeah, Mary did. Do I not see one in the back there? I believe Max is back there. Any others? I mean, I know we had a couple here who were previous winners of this award. Anybody else? Okay, just want to acknowledge that. And these are people who really led both as leaders, but sometimes simply leading by example. Just come in there, doing what they need to do, being off book, working hard, putting the ensemble, putting the tech crew first above their own concerns. And I can say that's certainly the case for these two people. And again, yet again, we had no trouble at all identifying these two individuals. So the first person we'd like to recognize, and by the way, not only will they receive a Bravo Award, but also, and I did this last year because last year I had the chance to do this, each of these two people will receive a piece of the curtain, the old curtain from off the stage, which I know Carlene is so tired of me having pieces of the old curtain back in the stage. But this is a framed chunk of the curtain. In fact, we've only done 20 of these. I say by we, I mean me. Only made 20 of these shadow boxes, and the first award goes to Ethan Leonard. Our second recipient, again, was someone who was, as a pick, was a no-brainer, and this person has been Miss Everything to this program, not only for this year, but for a couple of running, I'd say, and that is Rosie Avila. Okay, to continue a theme, we now would like to confer the Silver Torch Award. Now, to talk about Turks, the Silver Torch, the Silver Torch Award. The Silver Torch Award, this is the 15th year since I instituted the Silver Torch Award way back in 2003. I guess that would be the proper math. And it was something that Mark Smith and I had spoken about at the time. In fact, I guess, Peter, you were right out of high school at that point, right? So maybe in 2003?
Yeah, I was filling in part-time.
You were coming in part-time, that's right. So it was some years ago. And so we talked about a means of honoring our student techs and the contributions they make. And if you notice, if you walked in to the house left door, you'll see a permanent plaque with several plates on it going back to that time with names of those tech students who have, in 4 years' time, 4 seasons worth of work, have absolutely not only done meritorious work for their own ends, but actually are leaving MDI drama better than they found it. And our recipient this year is, by the way, keeps going, I know. There it is. And that person is Rosie Avila. Oh, it's in a box.
The box is down there.
No, it's in a, wait, don't go anywhere. You have to find the plaque. It's in a paper, it's in a cardboard box.
Can I like keep hugging?
Yes, please.
My speech is on. Oh, okay.
There should be
Am I still staying?
white box.
There, There wasn't when I got here this evening.
Oh my God.
It's probably in your room.
No, you brought
Well,
it
we
down.
have to track it down. It
Okay.
must be in my classroom. So, there is a plaque. We don't have it right here. I even boxed it up. I left it in my room. But we will get that. We'll get it. Yeah, absolutely. But thank you. I don't have time to run to the room. So. So, you guys have a seat for just a sec, please. So, what I'd like to do right now is just a couple recognitions, and then I'll have to do the 50-yard dash down to my room to get Rosie's plaque. By the way, it's all put together and boxed up, ready to go, and I left it there, running down the hall. And I would like to acknowledge a couple folks who I see out and about in the audience, people who I would say, in many ways, either consciously or not, shaped the direction of the last 19 years of our program. And the first person, if you tell me one of those, the first person who I would like to call to the stage, and I'm going to actually share with you guys the same token that I gave our two seniors. The first person I'd like to call to the stage started here as a student, one of those very first students who I encountered here at the high school, and then years later came back to be a tech director with me for several years, up until just a couple of years ago, and I want to publicly acknowledge him again for the time that he put in, and that is Peter Miller. That means you get to come back next week.
Yeah.
The second person I'd like to acknowledge is another person who was one of those first people I met when I took the job here at the high school. And I have certainly had ample opportunities to acknowledge this person publicly and go to battle with this person time and time again, but I want to make certain in our 50th year that I do so again. And that person is Mark Smith. And the last person who I would like to acknowledge is a person who I can honestly tally within the span of one day the amount of time I've spent with this person, physically in the same room. But I cannot begin to calculate the influence that this person has had on our program, on myself, on my own stewardship of this program. Not the last person, next to the last person, who I'd like to acknowledge. Sorry about that. But the amount of guidance, whether direct or indirect, I took from this individual, and I don't know that he realizes that at this time. Maybe he's starting to realize it now. But I would like to acknowledge my immediate predecessor, Dan Mills. One, I was going to say.
May I just say something?
Oh, please do. There's one.
I have.
So the internet can hear you.
Yeah.
I'm looking out at kids, and my life was an education, and the greatest times that I ever had was working with theater kids, and especially in this high school. And I'm so envious of this man that he gets to do that with you, and I'm so, and you are so lucky.
And I think he's here. He was here. Oh, he is here. So I'd like to acknowledge another member of our staff who I also went to battle with sometimes and down the line, and has provided excellent guidance for me as well. And of course, many of you, all of our students are very well familiar with this person, but may not be as familiar with the fact that he directed plays here for a number of years, even going back to the 90s, even preceding the time that Dan Mills directed here. And that person is none other than Mr. P, Mark Puglisi. So, do I see Dan Stillman in the room?
Yes, you do.
Where's Dan Stillman?
Right there.
There's Dan Stillman. I want you to come up here right now, if you will. So I'd like to acknowledge Dan. Everyone knows Dan Stillman here, and everybody knows Dan. He was also another person who I met very early on in the process here at the high school. And he many times talked to me about the years. He was here, of course, as a student, ages back in the 70s, back in the heyday of the George and Joyce years, and then was here as a teacher, and then, as he says, became the caretaker of the program when Joyce was, I guess, unable to continue because of her health, and then, of course, she unfortunately died shortly thereafter. And his time bridged that period between when Joyce was here and then when
Dan Mills was my gift to this school.
and Dan constantly, when we speak of this, talks himself down. He talks about he calls himself the golden parachute. He was the golden parachute that let the program gently drift down, he said, which is garbage. That's not true. No, I tell you. But I can tell you what, I've certainly turned to Dan many times over the years for advice. He's been a sounding board for me on more than one occasion. I've gone to his room and thrown things about and such. But I do want to publicly acknowledge him and the time he spent here in this program, and of course the time that he has been a mentor to me. Okay. Now, oh my gosh, Rosie, I'm going to try this and see if it works. So Rosie has created a video. Yeah. Because I don't know what it's about, so yeah, you should probably introduce it. Yep.
Can you go down and watch it?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want to do. Yeah. I'm going to stay here just to make sure it works, but yeah. I mean, just to double click it and, whatever. Art, let's come here, so you can probably do that.
Oh, okay. So I'm Rosie, and hi. The past 2 years, I made a documentary for Bravos, sort of started spontaneously. But this year, so I made one for the one act when we did The Other Shore, and then I did one for Tarzan last year. Sorry, I'm clanking. And then, I don't know, a lot of you have been involved in our spring plays, and our spring play process is sort of just utter chaos, which is fine. But basically, we make 2 often full-length plays in a rehearsal time of like 2 weeks. And if you're like totally crazy, then you can act in one and do tech in the other and have just no time at all. And it's nuts. And so at the beginning of this year, I was like, there's only one, show time left to make a film about, and I was like, there's no way. I'm not doing that. And so I didn't. And then 2 weeks ago from today, Mr. Rush calls me down to his room and says, so Rosie, do you have a film for Bravos? And I was like, no. Here are all of the reasons I don't have a film for Bravos. I don't have time. Spring plays is a bad idea, etc. I don't have any good ideas, And he's like, well, he sort of guilt-tripped me for like 20 minutes. And you did. I'm sorry.
I was mostly just trying to make sure that you weren't going to pop up with the film at the last second.
Well, I told you. Okay, so it was like, well, it's the 50th anniversary, and also it's your senior year, and it was so great to have in the past. And I was like, I'm making a film for Bravos. So I emailed like 75 people at like 1 in the morning, and I was like, hey, can I interview you like tomorrow? And a whole bunch of people said yes, which was incredible. And so I have like a couple little things that I randomly like filmed on a phone camera over the year. So those are just like thrown in there. So this is my film that is made in 2 weeks. This one isn't a documentary. This is sort of, as I'm leaving, just my way of saying thank you to MDI Drama, because it's been a really special 4 years. I guess that's all. Do I double click now? All right. Do I get left or right? Left or right? All right. Is it like sound good? We good? You ready? Yeah. Okay. I got it. Can I just space bar?
It was so welcoming. I mean, it's kind of just my home. It's where I do everything that is related.
The sense of collaborative achievement when it all comes together at the end of the show, like you're watching it and you just think, wow, after all this time we've got here, and everyone's crucial. The community that drama has created is just very unique. I feel like no matter like what show or drama that you do, whether you just do musical or that you do everything or whatever, it's like this little family and everybody just loves each other.
In high school, and I heard about all the different like spring plays and musical and one act and thought, there's so much to choose from.
It was kind of a place where I was able to start my entire high school career because I didn't know anybody before I came here. And it's been said many times before that it's like a family, but it is. But you're also a large family doing a large group project that everyone is really invested in.
It's so much fun, and how everybody's really connected through something that they all love.
The direct emphasis on like student-directed learning, like it isn't just made and then handed to you to operate. Like it is all about you are making this experience.
The theater department has been where I felt probably the most.
It just feels like somewhere you can go and be with people that love you and they were both on Skype. To the auditorium and put them on the TV. That's
Halfway through, I like paused it, muted it, and then I went and I made like soup.
Instead of saying the walls are 3 foot thick, he said the walls are 3 feet deep. That was, everybody had a laugh about that. And I don't know if Emerson realized it until afterward because he sounded so surprised.
It was funny because we're trapped in there for like hours, and so it gets crazy.
Obviously the one from Into the Woods, where Emerson's voice started coming out of the couch. It was great. And Gray thought it was absolutely hilarious because he's Gray.
How? Why? When? Not my fault, hopefully. I brought in my tea for the musical, and Frank goes, okay, here they are. And I'm like, what?
Sometimes, during some of the funny lines, Frank would just like laugh. He would just sit back and just laugh at us.
Like, he was so smug about what he had come up with. In theater, like, we were saying our lines, and like, he could basically hear our voices like echoing up. Like, it was just so quiet, and there was like a joke or something like that. Like, that wasn't really that funny, like, to pick up on, but all you could hear was Mr. Rush laughing. Because not only is he just the director of the whole drama department, and like, this department wouldn't be what it is without him, but he was also the director of the one act, and I feel like that added a huge experience to my high school career.
I think that Gray really cares about what he's teaching the text, and he really does want us all to take something away from this. And I think that's kind of passion that everyone needs in their education.
First two people was Carlene and Gray, because they kind of taught me how to do stuff and made me feel like I knew what I was doing, even though I didn't know what I was doing.
Most of them have just given me so many opportunities to learn and succeed.
Frank, for being the understanding director that he is.
Understood that it was my first production, and he couldn't be more wonderful.
It is very loud, and he doesn't like smile all that often. And so, but he has like, he's so interested in like drama and what our school has to offer for drama, and it just means a lot.
Chris, because very specifically because she has been such a great help, and I don't think I would be in theater the same way if it wasn't for her.
The directors, first off, because they're the ones that make the stuff happen. They're the ones that get the whole thing started, the ones that really kind of have to push us into gear sometimes and make the whole thing happen.
Yeah, these directors don't sugarcoat. Like, this is the real deal action. Obviously, the directors. I mean, the amount of work that goes into a show is so time-consuming for them, and like, it's amazing that they want to work with students and help them become better actors and actresses and become better techies. The adults that make this program really love making theater, and they really love supporting kids who want to make theater.
I also want to thank all the seniors because I'm like so inexperienced. I know there are a bunch of other people that were inexperienced, so new to it, and they were just so welcoming. I want to thank everyone because it wouldn't be without any of those, without one person. It's all of the people that make it. You can't take out one person. I mean, everyone contributes their own.
Thank you, drama program.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Nicely done. Beautiful. Whoa. Oh no, stop. Hey Gray, can you help me, please? When my computer goes stupid, I say, hey Gray. That's what I do. Hey Gray, can you help me? I don't want to do that. Okay, so I think so. Now, if we get up one, we have two last things to do. One is we are going to get pictures of all of the students and the staff and such. We're going to get you guys up on the stage. We get our big, huge Bravo photo, which we always do. Oh, shoot, I had one or two more quick announcements. These attractive people. I do two quick announcements. Frank is not here, but so there we go. So that's the plan. So that's our musical for the fall. And you're not going to cheer so much for the one act because most of you are just going to say, what? But, so there we go. So that's our plan for the fall and the winter of next year. So what I'd like to do for photographs today.
Do you want to call all the seniors?
Yeah, we're going to call all the seniors.
Call the seniors first.
What?
Rosie has an award.
Oh, you do?
Okay.
Rosie has an award.
Hold on one second.
Yeah, we'll as soon as after Rosie's done, we'll do
Yep.
that. Okay. Sorry, Rosie. See, this is what I have to tweet.
Okay. Hi again. So my freshman year, I was acting in the musical, and it was Tintypes, and I was standing there in my big long dress, and it was, I think it was Hell Week, and it was a dress rehearsal, and I was standing backstage, and this tall guy in a beard comes up to me and is like, "Hi, I'm Gray. Want to be a mic wrangler?" And I was like, "I don't know what that means." And I don't know why he picked me, because I was like the freshman girl who was just like backstage, but he did. And I'd wanted to do tech, but I didn't know how to join it. But somehow I got in, and somehow it's senior year, and I'm the student tech director. And sometimes I'm still a mic wrangler, and I still do that very first thing that Gray taught me how to do. So this year I started acting in the one act somehow, which was unexpected. So I didn't get to spend as much time in tech, which was weird. But after a long afternoon of rehearsals, which was great, but it was really nice to always have tech to come back to. So I've been so honored to be able to get to be one of the people that gets to lead this crew. Sometimes it's very rough, but we've worked so hard, and we did some exceptional stuff this year, and I feel so lucky to be part of it. But as I said, it's senior year, and everything has got to end, so I won't be here in the fall, and somebody has to be the new crew chief. Wait, I lost my place. Okay, so I would just like to say that when Gray texted me with who he was thinking, I responded with like 7 exclamation points, because I couldn't have imagined anybody better. Because besides being one of the most talented people I know, by far, this person is incredibly kind, funny, respectful, and so smart. They are open to new ideas, they learn quickly, and they teach others really well. This is a truly fantastic human being, and you guys are so lucky to have him as your crew chief next year. This person has grown so much in the past 2 years, and they are more than deserving of every award they have gotten tonight and this whole year. And I'm sure you know already, but this person is Piper Sharon.
No, we're still not done.
Oh, do I get to stay up here then?
Yes. Okay, so actually I've been involved in 2 covert operations centered around the one act. I'd like to call up Ethan, Desmond, Emerson. We have Rosie. These are our seniors who were in this year's state championship one act play, and we're also in the cast of last year's. Crew, cast of crew. Production.
Don't worry about it. All right. Should I talk to the mic?
Yes, please.
Okay. What? Okay. So we want to thank someone very special for bringing the whole one act together, and that person is Mr. Rush. But we've sort of split our speech up into 4 little chunks because Mr. Rush does a lot at this school, and we are very, very lucky. So I'm going to talk about how he is the director of the whole drama department, and I don't know how much he's recognized for that. But he's so supportive, and he does a lot of, the advertising, and he keeps everything together. And my favorite thing is when I'm in a play that Mr. Rush is, okay, that sounded wrong. When Mr. Rush is not involved in my play directly, but he comes in and he sits in the back of the house during my rehearsal, and he'll see something that he likes, and you can just hear him like quietly giggling in the back. And his constant support is so appreciated, and that's really special. And so I'm going to turn it over to, I don't know who's next.
And also, of course, as a director of a specific show, he's also super duper wonderful to have as a director. And he has a unique, approach to directing. At least in my experience, it's unique. And I think it's a super brave approach to directing where he really breaks everything down from the absolute get-go. And you barely look at the play for the first, month of one act. Really, you're working on what it means to act and how to project, how to vocalize, how to show your character and really embody that character and all these different things. And he's so wonderful also at making a show, not forcing the character or the actors into characters that he has in mind or that the play has in mind, but fitting the show kind of into the people that he has. And in that way, really bringing the absolute best out of everybody involved in the show. And now, Desmond will also talk about directing.
Hello. And we'd be remiss to not talk about how, apart from just being the director and making these wonderful plays, he's also works to be a teacher wherever he is, and to bring his students up to always gain knowledge when he's able to work with them, not just as an English teacher, juggling that while he's doing everything else he does at this school, but even when he directs, he always has in mind how he can teach us and how he can make sure the actors are getting the best out of the experience of being a part of his plays. If he was just out to make a good quality show, he didn't need to make a busboy for the dancers, but he still did and made sure this little freshman was able to be a part of the show that he auditioned for. And I don't know if I would be, I keep on saying this, but I don't know if I'd even be in theater if he didn't open that door for me and let me have the experience. And so, and he's just always there for the benefit of his students, and we're so grateful for that. And now I'll send it off to Ethan.
So, there are certain people whose voices you can pick out of a crowd. With Mr. Rush, you can pick his laugh out of a crowd. So, this was our performance during States. There had been a couple freakouts backstage about why aren't people responding to their mics. I was freaking out because I thought that it was going way too slow and that we were going to end up over time. And the audience seemed just generally unresponsive. And then we get to some stupid line. I couldn't hear it. I was too focused pacing back and forth and freaking out. And all I hear is Mr. Rush's signature, "Ha!" And I calmed down. Not very much. In fact, I'm still freaking out. But I hear a couple more, it's just him at this point. The audience is not laughing at these jokes. It's going over their heads. But you hear just Mr. Rush laughing. Eventually, the audience starts catching on. Oh, these are jokes. This is a comedy, isn't it?
Always keep them guessing.
And they start laughing too. And I'm not so worried anymore. And then we get out on stage and I'm so caught up in my role that I forget how freaked out I was before I entered. And all of a sudden I can't pick out Mr. Rush's voice from all of the laughter and the cheering. And I know we were doing all right. And I know that's because of all the hard work that he puts into his productions. And I just want to let him know it was worth it.
We made a one-act joke, and we got Mr. Rush this stopwatch. So we would like to say that it doesn't quite fit in the box. Be careful. That almost fits in the box. We're going to engrave the back to say execrate, but we didn't decide in time, so it will say execrate soon.
Yes.
It will say execrate on the back.
That is lovely. Thank you.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Check that out. Thank you. Wow. We're gonna need it because this next year's play is like an hour long, so we're gonna have to. Yeah, I know. So could we have all seniors on the stage, please? I know, but you left. So could we have program seniors on the stage, please? Last year we said goodbye to an even larger group, but this year we say goodbye to a smaller group, but an equally vital and important group of seniors. So join me in congratulating these seniors in their 4 years of work in our program.